Listen to this. I think we all know what that sound is. That is the sound of summer. Cicadas, or as some people call them, cicadas. And they just happen to be the noisiest insect in the world. So, why am I talking about cicadas when it comes to prawning? There happens to be a belief or a saying amongst old fishermen that when there's an abundance of cicadas, there'll be a bumper season of prawns. And I've got to agree. Last year, the cicadas were deafening, and we went prawning and we got heaps of prawns each time we went out. This year, I believe there's been more cicadas around. They've been even more deafening than last year. So tonight, I'm expecting to go out there and get a heap of prawns to equal last year, if not exceed that. So I can't wait. Let's get out there and just see if this is a reality.
It has just got dark and the prawns are starting to come out of the sand and appear to be up and moving around as if they're going to school up and run. Let's hope so. Now I'm just using a scoop net. I've got an underwater light and I've got a bucket to put my prawns in. Now I know a lot of people often get confused as to when to go prawning. Is it around the full moon or is it around the new moon? Well, in fact, it's around the dark, the new moon. Now I prefer 4 to 5 days either side of that new moon period when it's dark. When the moon's out at full moon, the prawns tend to keep buried because predators can find them far too easily. So it's that new moon period, either side of that. So get your calendar out and work out when the new moon is and go out 4 or 5 days either side of that. Just bear in mind also that during the full moon period, the prawns are actually molting. In other words, they're shedding their shells, which they need to do as they increase in size. But just bear in mind, this shell underneath is quite soft and will take a couple of days to harden up. So by the next new moon period, they're in a good condition and ready to run out the sea. Well, I've just come back out into the water. I've raced back in, grabbed the underwater camera just to show you what's going on here. It's absolutely astounding. There are thousands of prawns here schooling up. This is how they school up, preparing to run out to sea with the outgoing tide. So as you can imagine, fish and other predators will be feeding on them as they go. However, the sheer massive numbers will assure that at least a percentage of them will make it to the breeding grounds out in the ocean. If someone was to tell you how many there were, you wouldn't believe them. You actually have to see it to actually believe what's going on here. Well, I better get back to prawning before they all disappear. Oh, when they're this thick, they're pretty easy to catch. All you've got to do is go down quite deep, lift the net vertically, and then make sure you shake them down to the bottom of the net. Otherwise, next scoop, they tend to try and escape. Oh, there's a small stingray. Sometimes the light shines straight through the prawns and they are very difficult to see. So I find that if you can put the light partly in the sand on the bottom, this reduces the amount of light and you can then identify the silhouette of the prawn and they can be much easier to see.
Often if you walk along the edge of the shallow water into a little bit deeper water, the prawns will be coming off that, as they are here, off that shallow water into the deeper water as I shine the light. It seems to stir them up at times.
Yes, another good haul. Yeah, these ones are all king prawns. Mind you, they're only small to medium size at this stage. I just want to mention and be wary of these little things. It's a fortescue and they can sting you if you tread on them. So if you're running around barefooted, just be wary of them. And as you can see here, they can tend to try and bury under the sand. When the prawns are sitting on the bottom, place the net one side of the prawn and then from the opposing side give the prawn a kick and theoretically it should go into the net. The top of the water has now got really glassy even though the breeze is still blowing just a little bit. Often coming in sideways is the way to go, like across the prawn like that. And they can't seem to detect the net coming as well. What do we got here? A stingray. Something to be a little bit careful of.
Look at how fat it is. My goodness gracious me. I reckon it's been feeding on prawns all night. Goodness, that is one fat stingray.
You do see some strange things under the water, Tom. Check this out. So here we have a toadfish swimming at the rear and a frogfish, also known as a sky-8 anglerfish, swimming together. Well, I've gone alright tonight. I've got my maximum limit of 10 litres.
So what's happened is the prawns have run just after dark, like they've been up and running, and heaps of them. And then they just disappeared, buried. A lot of people left. I thought I'd hang out for another half hour or so, hoping they would come back, and sure enough, they did. Not as thick as they were when they were first running, but certainly there was a lot of prawns came. So I'm glad I did stay, because I picked up a few more kilo of prawns in a reasonably short time. They're not big prawns, but there's a lot of different size prawns in here. So there's a few good ones, really, decent sized ones, but a lot of small ones as well, which I don't mind, because over the next few months they'll be growing, and it'll mean that I can come out and get a few more prawns pretty much at will. After being in and on the water for over half a century and making a habit of studying the cycles and patterns of fish and prawns, I really have learnt a lot, and I'd like to be able to pass some of this information on, or as much as I possibly can, to you guys. So if you like what you see in this video, subscribe and share, and I'll bring you more of this.
Thanks for watching.